All right, guys, we're back again. COVID Cabal, Polish Edition 2025. We got some big updates for you guys. This is a big show. It's a big show. It's a big show. I almost feel bad that I'm not drinking. I almost feel bad that I'm not drinking for the show because uh, we got so much cool stuff to cover, but I don't know, guys. I'm not sure if I'm really feeling it. You guys might be able to bully me into doing it. You might be able to bully me into doing it, but I'm right now I'm not. Right now, I'm not feeling it. Right now, I'm not feeling it. If you guys are here, leave a comment in the chat. Leave a comment in the chat, guys. If you guys are here, leave a comment in the chat. Let me know what's up. Guys, also, I have to tell you, those of you who always watch these on X, not a big deal for you. And that's going to be most of you. But for you guys who like to see the COVID cabals after the fact, who like to look up the, yeah, so we got a guy on YouTube right here, right? We are going to be having the COVID cabals. This is the last COVID cabal on this channel. So in the description below on YouTube, you will have a link. If I haven't done that, I got to do it. But there's going to be a link for the new channel. It's very easy. It is just literally called COVID Cabal, at COVID Cabal. So YouTube at COVID Cabal. We're doing that for a couple of reasons. I think the algorithm, a lot of you guys have asked me, why isn't this show taken off? And there's two reasons. First is terrible production quality, absolutely terrible production quality. And I regret to tell you that that's probably not going to change too substantially for the COVID cabal. We'll be getting, if you guys think this lighting is good, maybe I'll get some other stuff going on. Maybe I'll try to spruce it up a bit, but the studio that I'm hoping to be able to make, the little mini studio with like a nice camera and everything, that is going to be for the dating relationship videos, because I will be doing COVID Cabal at night in Poland. So I will not be at the studio or the office. I feel like COVID Cabal has got to be a nighttime show. It's got to be a nighttime show, and it's got to be on different schedules. So we're separating the shows out. I know a lot of you guys like both. Very easy. You just subscribe to both channels. And honestly, I gotta do this right now. I gotta drop the COVID Cabal link in the description below for the Pat Stedman coaching channel, because it's gonna be an issue otherwise, because you guys are not gonna know. You're gonna forget. You're not gonna know how to find it. 1 second here. 1 second here. 1 second here. So yeah. I got to turn off my own voice. All right. I can't, all right. I'm going to have to drop it afterwards. I'm going to drop it in the chat right now, though. This is going to be the new COVID Cabal channel. Okay. So you guys start subscribing to that now. It's not ready. They have to approve it. It's going to be approved in a day. So next COVID Cabal will be on X, but it's also going to be on the COVID Cabal channel. So I want to give you guys a head up on that. Oh, my man. Well, I hope nothing happened to you. Hope nothing happened to you down there. And yes, it is nighttime in Poland right now. It's 8:15 p.m. But yeah, if this is a good time, for you guys, I think it is going to be a good time. I think nighttime, 8 p.m. on a Sunday, that's probably where we're going to be going with this in the future. That's where I feel like this is where the COVID Cabal stuff is going to be. We're going to have a weekly slot. Maybe we'll throw another one in there on special occasions, but I'd rather do a longer, better show, more energy, I didn't bring the wine out though, guys. Should I bring the wine out, or am I just delaying too much? Am I just delaying? You guys just want to get to the meat of this? You just want the meat of the show right now? Am I blue balling you guys too much? Because it's been a long time since we did COVID Cabal. Oh fuck. Saying I gotta get the wine out. I don't know though. Any kind of motion needs a second. So if there's not a second, we're not gonna be doing it. So there's gotta be a second here. But yeah, I want to have this chai tea. I'm imbibe. All right. Just give me 1 second. I don't want anybody out of here. I want this chat going on in the next 30 seconds. All right, guys, we're coming back. We're coming back. Come back. We are almost back. Almost back. All right. All right. All right. All right. I'm not getting a Riesling. I got a Burgundy. All right. I got a fucking Burgundy. I should have gotten American wine though, but you can't really find American wine here. Should have got American wine just because this is a power time. It's a power time. But no, this is going to be our weekly slot. So I want you guys to be prepared for that. Prepared for your Eastern Standard Sunday afternoon. I think it's what's going to work because I got my own coaching calls on the weekdays. This is where we get our little moment. We're going to have fun. This is the wine, by the way. Lublin. Let me just say this little thing about Lublin. Because as you guys know, I have moved to Poland. Not permanent. Nothing's permanent anyway, but it is a serious move. I will be getting temporary residency in the coming weeks. And I love this city I'm in, Lublin. I love it. Not only because it's just like very good standard of living. Like Warsaw is getting a little pricey, Krakow's getting a little pricey. Not compared to American places, by the way, but it's no longer like I judge a lot of places by can you actually like spend money there if you want to spend money there. And in Warsaw, you absolutely can spend money. Like you can absolutely blow through a bunch of cash if you want to. Not like in New York where you not pay attention, you suddenly did that. But in Lublin, you can't do that. Lublin is one of those places where you could go out, have a good time. You could be buying everybody all this stuff. And you'll look at your bill at the end of the day. You'll be like, well, $60. Okay. So, but the problem with Lublin, Poland in general, getting better. The problem with Lublin for somebody like me is that there's no good wine options. Everything in Poland, like it's still connected to Eastern Bloc stuff. It wasn't really a wine culture. They are starting to produce wine domestically here, which is pretty cool. It's okay. It's fine. You know what I mean? Nothing special. But you get you still getting for the older demographics who are used to it under communism, you're getting either really cheap wine from Spain, Italy, France, but usually the old stuff is from Georgia or Moldova, right? Anything that was in the communist bloc. And it's mostly crap, right? It's mostly crap, mostly overly sweetened. I do have some Georgian wine here, but this stuff is not like the sophisticated Georgian wines that tend to make it to the hipsters in Brooklyn. However, very recently, a wine shop opened up in Lublin, and it's pretty decent. And I went there for the first time just a few days ago. My friend was in town. We went and got a few bottles, and I can be satisfied with the selection that he has there. It's very respectable for a small shop that maybe has only 50 different bottles in it, if that. Probably has about 50 different bottles in it, right? 40 to 50. Very respectable selection. And this is the one thing I'll say about Lublin. In Lublin, you might be able to only find one of what you want, but you have everything you need. You might only have one thing. There might only be one that you can get, but you have everything you need. So this is it's been a long vacation after the 6th. This next week is transitional, and then we're back at it. Full speed ahead, guys. New fake year, because we know the year really is about the equinox. It's not about this, but we're gonna make it a year to remember. 2026 is gonna be a good year, and with no further ado, let's talk about what just happened in Venezuela. Okay. Beautiful Burgundy. Beautiful Burgundy. I haven't had a Chitre, by the way. It's a very small appellation. I was impressed he even had it. I only saw it in a book before. Okay. So, everybody is making the wrong understanding with Venezuela, and they were doing it weeks ahead of time. And I'm going to be cocky here, guys. I'm going to be cocky. I'm actually starting to think I'm going to have to start getting a little cocky again. I know pride goes before the fall. I don't want to lose myself We are certainly not. We are certainly not going back to season 1 COVID cabal where I was looking like a fucking homeless man because I was drowning in alcohol from all the COVID cabals we were doing. I had this huge beard. I looked terrible. Man, one of my friends sent me a picture of this. I'm like, man, I have an amazing wife because she's pregnant. She's pregnant and I look like this fucking clown. I don't look like a clown. I look like a homeless person. It was crazy. Remember, I had that pact to grow out my beard. So, but I was cocky then. I was too cocky. I was overly invested. I was out of control. I was out of control. You know what I mean? All right. But I have to get a little bit more cocky because I'm telling you guys what I'm seeing on the internet, including from people who I generally like. No one understands what's going on, really. The only person who really is tracking this stuff super well is Tom Luongo. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be like a dick rider here. I don't agree with every little last detail of everything he says, right? We talked about some emphasis. But man, he is on point in understanding what's going on. He's predicting this stuff. He's actually, and you know why? This is what I'm going to say. The reason that Tom, and to myself, being less impressive, let's say, but same attitude, is everything is about the premises that you begin your investigation off of, right? So if your premise is that Trump is a fucking retard, doesn't know what he's doing, Trump's an Israel puppet, which is a psyop, Trump's captured, Trump's terrible. If your initial impression is that Trump doesn't know what he's doing and he's weak, things that you have literally no fucking evidence for in terms of his character. You have no evidence for it whatsoever in terms of his character, that he's an idiot and that he's a pussy. You have no fucking baseline to make that judgment about his character. It's as dumb as Trump derangement syndrome on the left has been for years. But that's what you're seeing. You're seeing these people that they believe that they know better than Trump. And so rather than do this because this is what people should be doing. They should be doing it from the very beginning. They should have been saying, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why Trump did this, but maybe Trump has a reason for doing it. Now, I know that makes you a plan truster. And people like to lambast the plan trusters. But what is happening to people who aren't trusting the plan at all? I'm not saying don't voice your concerns, don't voice your criticisms, right? But there's a big difference. There's a very, very big difference between one of these things and the other. There's a big difference between saying, well, Pam Bondi is terrible and we're going to just got to get rid of her. Or Trump didn't get rid of her because he's controlled by Israel. There is a whole there is a lack of willingness to entertain a different idea. There's a lack of willingness to say, why might Trump be doing things the way that he's doing? So actually, the reason I might have to be a little bit more cocky is because other people are way too cocky. They're way, way too cocky. And they're always wrong. They are consistently fucking wrong about everything. And everything goes back to the same narrative point. You see this regime change thing in Venezuela. What's the first thing people talk about? Oh, now, like, I don't even know if this is true, but, Venezuela's government's going to recognize Israel, or recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. It's like they always have to make some kind of pivot. And it's just, sorry, it's really shallow. And I'm speaking as someone who really, I've said this many times on the show. I am so done. We're all so done with Israel. But we're done with Israel. I'm done with Israel on both sides of things. I'm done with us catering to Israel, but I'm also done with everyone obsessing about Israel, as if Israel is really that fucking important. You sound like a bitch when all you do is think about Jews in Israel. Yeah, Jews are clannish, and they're behind a lot of this stuff. Whether they're exclusively behind it, different question, whatever. But deals are being made to bring about big results in not just the country, but the entire world. And that's what this operation was about. What was this operation about? Why were we in Venezuela? What was the reason that we were in Venezuela to begin with? Why were we putting all that pressure on there? Why were we putting our pressure on there? The reason we were doing it, everyone says, "Oh, we just want to take Venezuela's oil." So they're these imperialists, right? You have obviously the shit lib imperialists, anti-imperialist, right? They're only anti-imperialist, by the way, when it's America. When it's European countries being imperialist, they don't care, and they definitely don't care when China's being imperialistic. They only care when it's America. Everything's about America bad. And this was a segment that you always have to pay attention to this, because when we were dealing with the Russia-Ukraine war, you had a lot of people who we had common ground with being opposed to the war, but they were opposed to it for a different reason than we were. We were opposed to it because it indicated the deep state trying to create a World War III scenario, box Russia in. These people were against it because they're against anything that America does that shows any kind of power whatsoever, because they want America in all Western countries to be weak. That's their point. That's their point. So, what was it about? There's a lot of things going on with Venezuela, and that's one of the things that makes this whole conversation kind of interesting, right? It's interesting because you can say that Venezuela is about the oil, and you'd be correct to an extent. We can talk about that, right? Why is it partly with Venezuela's oil? Because China was using Venezuela as the hub to get most of its sour, this very, very thick oil, which is mostly used in shipping, and that China predominantly requires for its shipping fleet. Okay? So, China had a strategic interest in Venezuela's oil. What else did they have a strategic interest in? They had a strategic interest in Venezuela's silver. Now, this is an important side conversation here, because as you guys all know, gold, but now especially silver, has been absolutely ripping. And it got pushed down again just a few days ago. But the bottom line is that, silver's it's pushing up there. I think it's got close to 80. It's going to surpass 100, and it might surpass 200 within the next year. Now, why is this happening? Well, one of the reasons that those of us who were pro, accumulating precious metals, gold, but silver was kind of this like additional thing, because everyone thought, okay, gold's devalued, but silver was even more devalued than gold. And it was devalued for a couple of reasons. The first reason, of course, is that silver is kind of an industrial metal at this point. It's used in so many electronics. So it has value as perhaps a store of value still, like it always did, but you have this other additional element to it. Okay? So that's one part of it. But the other part of it is that the reason that the price of silver was kept so low is because, who wants to take a guess at it? Who was controlling the price of silver? I want you guys to see in the chat. I want you guys in the chat to tell me who was making the price of silver. There was 10 times more paper silver on the market. 10 times more paper silver on the market than there was real silver. Look at it. We got a smart audience here. Bank of England, London Exchange. No, JP Morgan actually was not. JP Morgan is currently manipulating the price to destroy the city of London. JP Morgan controls most of the real silver in the United States. JP Morgan is creating a silver refining facility in Tennessee. It was just announced. So what's happening here is we are taking back control over our monetary policy. We did that initially through SOFR, getting rid of LIBOR, right? The London Overnight Interbank Dollar Rate, whatever, where they would determine the price of dollars. We took that back with SOFR. It's been a gradual process that's becoming completed. They've been attacking our bond markets, attacking the spread of treasuries, the short term and the long term, in order to try to manipulate things. They're losing control You can see this firsthand in the European bond spreads, where Italy is now pushing up against Germany and France. Okay? The European bond market is going to fall apart. Europe is going to have a banking crisis. Meanwhile, all the money is going to the United States. Now, you see how, do you guys understand how significant this is? Italian bonds are seen as lower risk than the United Kingdom. Anybody who has even like a cursory understanding of what is supposed to be considered safe stores of value would never ever say something that like this could ever happen. Italy was one of the pigs. Portugal, well, they double-eyed it, right? Portugal, Ireland, Italy, Greece, Spain. It was mostly the Mediterranean countries that they were always trashing 10 years ago, 2013, 2014, during the Eurozone crisis. Italy is considered to be a country that is barely solvent. Now we're starting to see it's actually London and France and Germany. Even Germany considered to be the best. Even Germany is starting to have some risks now. France is cooked, absolutely cooked. Okay, so this is a very interesting situation here. So then you look at Venezuela. So what is this whole thing? Venezuela produces a lot of silver. They were producing a lot of silver for China, but also for London. The production of this, it's kind of complicated. The production of the silver, Britain was trying to get a hold of the silver for themselves because they have to cover what is actually going on in the market because they are unable to control this market anymore. This is one of the things I want to make a big point about, because you have a lot of people on Twitter talking about how the big issue, like this is going to create a big banking crisis in America. Those are either idiots or they're bad faith actors. They're saying like $17 billion that, some banks had to borrow from the repo facility. That is absolutely nothing. $17 billion is fucking nothing. And the reality is that we do not have a speculative issue with silver. We have a structural repricing of silver. This is not speculative. This is not paper. This is what Britain did. This is what this is what London did. The City of London did. This is what the City of London did. What the City of London did. See, it's a good thing I got this, right? Because I'm getting amped up. It's a good thing I got this, right? This is what the City of London did. The City of London was controlling the world through two things, and they're connected, of course, through intelligence agencies that would manipulate narratives in crises, because the intelligence agencies were then embedded in media organizations and then cultural institutions, so they could control cultural narratives and they could create incidences with their intelligence agencies, and then the media could manipulate. But what else could they do? They controlled things financially. They had no natural resources, they had no industry, but they had financialized the world, and they were controlling the overseas dollar market because they could set the rate of overseas dollars. This is one of the big lies about how America, and there like all lies, there's truth to it. Americans have obviously benefited from the fact that we have had the petrodollar, right? Sometimes this is called the Eurodollar system, but the petrodollar, the fact that the dollar's been backed by oil and the U.S. military. So, and the American consumers certainly benefited from that because they're able to get things because their currency is in demand. It subsidizes consumption in the United States. Okay. Now we've been reaching our limits of that benefit, but it's been a real thing. However, who was really benefiting? Britain, at least the British financial class, because they could set the price of dollars. And of course, through their intelligence agency connections, they were able to control American policy anyway. So they didn't have to bankroll all this stuff. But what people have to understand is that when you can say that the petrodollar is the universal source of, everybody wants dollars. And you can say America, therefore America is the global empire. But if Britain sets the price of being able to get those dollars, who actually controls it? That's what's been going on. That's what's ending. They're losing their financial control. This is connected to Bitcoin, okay? Bitcoin's gone down. I've been ambivalent in the past. I've kept an open mind about it. And I finally figured it out, I think, with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's good. The thing is, all the stuff about the cabal using it is true to use these clandestine activities. But it's very clear in Besant, all I need to hear is from Trump and Besant. When I heard Trump went to the Bitcoin thing when I was in prison, I was like, okay, that's it. Bitcoin's good. And then when Besant himself said that Bitcoin is good for America because they're going to be recollateralizing the United States through Bitcoin in stable coins, you're going to have a system where domestically there's going to be a gold, maybe gold and silver backed dollar. And then overseas, it's going to be treasury backed. And the treasuries are going to be backed by crypto, stable coins. They're going to get them through stable coins. They're going to get them through Bitcoin. All of this stuff is linked up. Okay. But the price of Bitcoin went down. Now, what's going on with that? Now, on one hand, you can say it's an attack. It's an attack on Bitcoin itself, because if you make it worth less, then it affects the recollateralization for the United States. But I actually think the main reason it's going down, or it's static at this level, is because they're having to start to put their own money on the table. If you notice that since July, what's been happening, what's been affecting the price of Bitcoin? It's been wallets that nobody's opened in years, decade even, over a decade. No one's opened these wallets. They've had all these Bitcoins on them. No one's opened them. And now they're starting to liquidate them. So they're having to use their own funds because USAID, all these things cut off their flow of income. And this goes back again to Venezuela, because Venezuela was the hub for everything. It's the hub for the Bush family. The Bush family was very, very much connected to the drug running, everything going on in Venezuela, including with Noriega. When Bush Sr. took out Noriega, it's because Noriega was stepping on Bush's CIA, stepping on his CIA drug running, because they fund their black budgets through the drug trade, okay? So Venezuela was a very crucial place for a lot of different reasons. It was a crucial place for a lot of different reasons. The oil for China's fleet, the silver, which, by the way, we intercepted all of the silver that they were sending. But here's where it gets really interesting, right? And of course, they were saying the fentanyl and everything overseas. But if you go with the premise that Venezuela was a hub for the CIA, this is where it gets really interesting. CIA City of London, right? This is where it gets really interesting. Why was it so important that we get Maduro? And did we get Maduro, or did Maduro tell us to get him? This is one thing I want to tell you, because without me like heavily trying to follow every single little bit of this entire thing, okay? Trump was never trashing Maduro. Now, I understand Trump as a negotiator, that he does this a lot, where he praises someone, he goes against them. He does this back and forth. So I'm not trying to like lean too heavily on that point. But what I will say is this: even a while ago, he said Maduro is not really the problem. It's an interesting statement, because Maduro stole not only our election, or Venezuela, Smartmatic, Dominion, which all that stuff. I'm going to show you some slides pretty soon, go through that. But Maduro also, man, I love this. I love this. Maduro also was he was he stole his own election like by a huge margin. So we don't like him. We hate Maduro. Yet Trump's praising him, or at least saying he's not the real issue. The night before the raid happened, Trump said that Maduro had come to terms. So Maduro comes to terms, and I was like, okay, situation's resolved. I wake up the next morning, Poland time, right? And I see these videos of like Apache helicopters blowing up Chavez's grave, right? That was so funny, by the way, that they just decided we're going to blow up Hugo Chavez's grave on the way out. That's so Trump. I fucking love him. I fucking love him, man. I love Trump. I love him. I'm a soldier. No, I mean, took him to task, right? 6 minutes. 6 minutes and change. They have Maduro and Maduro's wife. Man, I didn't drink that much wine. Look at that. There's not that much there. I still got it in the glass. This is, you know, small portion sizes. Don't worry. And by the way, on Cova Cabal, we'll regularly we'll do two. We'll do 2 glasses. We might do half a bottle. We might do it. You know what I mean? Family values. That's what I'm trying to say. People trying to shame me here. I didn't even bring this wine here. You guys bullied me into it. You bullied me into it. No, I know that this is our thing. It's our thing. Cova Cabal wine's a thing, and that's part of the reason why I separate out these shows. The dating relationship ones are going to be in the morning on Eastern time going forward. So you can bring your coffee for that if you'd like. I certainly will not be drinking on those anymore. Maybe the occasional cigarette. I don't know. I'm not a cigar guy. I'm not that. I'm a pleb. You know what I mean? I'm a man of the people. Cigarette's the man of the people. So here's the thing. Maduro and his wife. We hear Maduro came to terms, then Maduro is taken away and his wife is taken away. And I'm sorry, but he's going to be talking. He's going to be talking. And you're about to find out why a number of people on the right and a huge number on the left are all freaking out, because let's put aside everything we talked about with the oil and the silver. And of course, don't forget the geostrategic location of Colombia with the Panama Canal, big shipping route. And of course, you can't forget the fentanyl and the drug trade, all that stuff, right? Venezuela is a very significant location. However, what we really care about here on Cova Cabal is the election fraud. That's what we really care about. So if this was the hub for intelligence operations in the Western Hemisphere, at least, he's been indicted on many charges. What is he going to serve? I don't know what he's going to serve. Maybe he's agreed to serve some time in prison. I think that there was a long negotiation between them. But how would he get out of the situation, right? It must have been a very dangerous situation for him, because he's there in the present. He's the president, and he's standing up against America, but he's secretly like, he sees the writing on the wall, like anyone with a fucking brain. I can't handle these like brain dead takes from people where they're talking about how Trump's got to watch out for the midterms. The midterms are going to turn like, you're fucking stupid. You have any fucking idea what's going to happen before the midterms? You have any fucking idea? Are you that brain dead? The left is going to take over control. They're going to win the midterms. You fucking stupid. You're a fucking retard if you think that. You are truly a fucking retard. That's like saying you got some guy in the corner and he's like, if you don't arrest me, if you don't shoot me, I'm going to kill you and rape all your wife. I'm going to rape your kids. I'm going to kill every single one of you. You could shoot me right now. But if you don't do it, I'm going to kill you and I'm going to rape your wife and kids and then kill them. I'm going to cut them apart in pieces. And you're like, I don't know what to do. What am I going to do? How am I supposed to do this? I can't do this. We have a rules-based, yeah, Trump's going to follow that. You fucking retard. You are a fucking retard if you think that. Trump is paving the road for the good times in America, and he is doing it for narrative setting. And by the way, how are you going to make any claims about what any election is supposed to look like when the last 25 years worth of elections were manipulated? What happens when you stop the election manipulation and you deport, like Homeland Security's account said, 100 million people? They want to deport 100 million people. I do want to touch on the Somali stuff before we're done here, but I want to finish this with Maduro and the importance of it. You are going to see everything come out about the 2020 election, and you are going to see mass arrests, and you're going to see mass denaturalizations. Let's talk about Nick Shively. Let's talk about him, okay? Let's talk about our good little, what is he, 22 years old? He's the next Charlie Kirk, okay? It's not Hollyhand, it's not faggot Hollyhand or whatever that guy is. Flamed out, right? He flamed out real quick. Nick Shively is the new Charlie Kirk. He's been chosen to be the next Charlie Kirk. How do I know that? I'm going to give you two reasons. First reason, he's Mormon. The Mormons are heavily connected to the intelligence agencies. That, of course, on its own is not enough. But anybody who thinks for a second that Nick Shively uncovered all the fraud in Minnesota all by himself, citizen journalist, figured it out all by himself, I got an election to sell you. How about that? I got an election to sell you. Fox, Dominion voting systems, which, by the way, fire sale on that. Smartmatic has been indicted. I'm going to show you guys a slide in a moment. I'm going to go to the slides at the end. This was the epicenter of where it went through. So it went to Venezuela. It went through Serbia. This was a big thing, right? I remember I was big talking about it during the 2020 election. I remember this was like January 5th. This came out. It was right before all that shit. They found out that it had gone to Serbia. There were all these rumors about like Gina Haspel. That has been unconfirmed still, that Gina Haspel was shot. You know, there was this whole thing. I think it was Gina Haspel. That there was something with the CIA. You never saw her or whatever. But they had, Dominion Smartmatic had an office in Serbia. They claimed it didn't exist, but we know that it existed, first off, because people found the LinkedIn profiles of the individuals who worked there. The votes were electronically manipulated. And Venezuela was just a hub for that because it's a big intelligence agency hub. Okay, that's the significance of it. So if you're the country that's basing the servers where the manipulation is coming from of the votes in America, then, and you're the president of the country who was there for it, and you admit that you did this, but you say I was under duress, Maduro maybe gets a deal. He's certainly guaranteed safety. The Brits were going to kill him. Maybe he has to spend a few years in prison. Honestly, I let him off completely. I don't even give a fuck. I care more about the in-group enemies. I care more about the traitors. Some guy who's doing it for profit for his family, if he's going to rat on the entire thing, if it's going to move the needle to get the people who manipulated the Americans who've manipulated the votes in this country, if it's going to move the needle on that, that's what I care about. I want those people fucking dead. I want them not only dead to rights, I want them fucking dead. Legally dead. That's what I think we're going to see by the time this is all over. But let's move the whole point here. Maduro was in a very dangerous situation because he's surrounded by people who are saying, you got to work against America, or we're going to kill you, basically. And he's saying, yeah, I'm going to work against America. Meanwhile, he's trying to tell America, like, I got to get the fuck out of here. I don't want to die. America extradites him. You know that this is the case. I'm telling you, it's not just the little things I mentioned because of Trump saying the day before that Maduro had come to terms, whatever. They took his wife. They had no reason to take his wife. They took his wife because it was protection. You know that automatically. By the way, I want to mention two other things here. Let's talk a little bit more about intelligence agencies shenanigans while we're at it. So Nick Shively, it's back to him. Nick Shively's met with Trump before. Nick Shively did not uncover the fraud in Minnesota. He was directed to that. You know who directed him to it? Kash Patel, because Kash Patel said that they've been investigating it since the summer. They already have some arrest on it. Kash Patel said publicly that they were investigating the fraud from the Somali community in Minnesota in the summer. And Pam Bondi already has indictments on people and arrests. Okay? So I know that a lot of people are frustrated with Pam and Kash. I'm not saying they've been perfect. I'm just saying that maybe we don't know everything that's going on. Maybe we don't understand the significance of the bigger game at play here. And you think this thing has to happen next, but maybe it doesn't have to happen till the very fucking end. You can make it happen automatically and naturally by pulling back, taking a few other things out. Did you not see what happened here? Two things happened. Nick Shively uncovers all this fraud in Minnesota, but what else happened? Elon Musk, what was I trying to say? Elon Musk made everything, absolutely everything go viral, made the biggest story ever. That did not happen organically. I'm sorry, it didn't happen organically. It didn't. All of this stuff was, and this is what the left did to us for years. They played the Alinsky tactics, right? The Alinsky tactics. You know what the Alinsky tactics are? They have somebody, some little faggot on the ground. In their case, there's always a little faggot on the ground. And they have him go and complain about something, some injustice, some hate crime. They manufacture a narrative from it. And then they create consent. And then they get their policy. Trump's doing the same thing. That's Nick Shively and Elon Musk working together. Elon Musk being new media, Nick Shively being the asset who discovered it, so the administration wasn't looking for it. You know how fucking dumb is this corner of the internet? Nick Shively uncovers this fraud. They're saying, when is the administration going to do something? Like, dude, are you fucking retarded? This story broke like yesterday. And 2 days afterwards, they have everything planned. They have everybody on the ground to deal with it. They have all the cases being built. So first off, if you know anything with the legal system, you know that stuff was in place for a long time beforehand, okay? Second off, what do you think? Like, you hear a story, news story breaks. Why hasn't he been put in prison yet? When is Trump going to put these people in prison? When did you hear about the fucking story, dumbass? You hear about the story like an hour ago? I'm going to tell you guys, Trump is going to take Greenland, and he's going to take Western Canada. And I think he's going to take all of Canada, frankly. I think he's going to take all of Canada, but definitely taking Western Canada. You take Greenland, though, geostrategically, you take Greenland, and you take Alberta and Saskatchewan, Western Canada, right? And what is left? What's left is a rump state tied to the EU. It'll collapse. Obama will absolutely be thrown in jail. And Charlie Ward, it's not a Charlie Ward fantasy, it's a Charlie Ward scam. Charlie Ward's a scammer. That's what he is. He's a liar and he's a scammer. Doesn't mean that he's even wrong about some things. He's just lying about anything that he knows. He's just riding the alternative wave, and he's pimping out his, high commission based silver or gold medals things where he's talking about how this, he's a fat fucking lard ass, how he was put in tunnels. And then you had Simon Parks, right? Simon Parks, I don't know if Simon Parks, this is the thing, I don't know about Simon Parks. I've never seen his stuff since then because I'm even ashamed I watched it. Simon Parks is either absolutely insane or a very, very good undercover, because he said he was MI5 or his father was. I lean on actually that Simon Parks is like a because I met some of these people in prison, so I have a little bit. Why is he so convinced? I think he's actually a narcissist. He's a narcissistic psychopathic personality disorder. he's a fucking nut job. I think he's convinced himself of a lot of things, and that makes him persuasive, because if you convince yourself that you are somebody, you talk about it like you have no ability, there's no conscious chatter that tells you other people you're lying. There's no incongruencies with your confidence and what you're saying. That's why those people can be very charismatic, very persuasive. I think Simon Parks has, like, probably NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. I kind of got some hints of that based on how he talked to his wife. I don't know. It's just like little. But Charlie Ward is a pure scammer, and he's using Simon Parks. Simon could be in a psych ward, and he should be in a psych ward. But I want to talk about this. What did the Somali fraud do? It set the precedent for mass denaturalizations, because you understand that you can't just deal with an individual. You have to deal with the entire community. The entire community's in on it. So this is what's going to happen. We are going to see mass denaturalizations. It's going to happen. It's not one of those things like, well, I hope he does it. It's going to happen. But they're trying to set the stage for it. I want to scroll back to the chat here, and I want to mention something that Andrew H2 said here. I think the administration's plan is to show the Americans that the Obama Biden regime is illegitimate. Power and legitimacy go hand in hand. Without legitimacy, there's public support for power. Without power, legitimacy is a piece of paper. Venezuela, Smartmatic, Somali fraud, mail-in voting means that the democratically claim to power is illegitimate. You need to make the people so fed up and disgusted, and you have to make it so abundantly clear what they have been doing that you don't care if you break the norms of arresting some piece of shit like Tim Walz. That's what has to happen. Everybody wanted them to do it immediately, but we are not the left. We operate through truth and order, okay? The left violated laws, and they tried to skip steps. This administration wants nothing about every single person who they are going to arrest and in prison and execute. They don't want there to be any question whatsoever about the legitimacy of their operations. They want it to be clear as day that what they did saved this country. It was not a power grab. We could be playing power grabs all the time, and that would end up destroying the country. In that case, you might actually get the left back in 2028 organically, because you didn't build up the proper legitimacy or consent. I said from the very beginning of season 2 COVID Cabal, Trump had a year and a half tops to get this thing started directly, but he very clearly had a year, and I expected it to happen in this first quarter of 2026. Specifically, I would say, if I had to pin anything on it, I would say in February. I'll give myself some wiggle room and say until April, but I think it's going to be in February. This shit is going to kick off. They're ready for it. Good comment in the chat here, right? About showing Hegseth, right? Posting the Gladiator intro on New Year's Day, knowing what was going to happen in Venezuela, crazy. But it's not just that. Trump took the National Guard out of the cities, and he said they're going to be back, maybe in a bigger way. Yeah, they're going to deploy the military. You know what happened a few weeks ago? Trump was trying to figure out, through the courts, of course, how am I supposed to deal with these governors who are working against ICE, violating the Constitution and the separation of powers, the hierarchy of powers. And you know what the Supreme Court did? The 3 liberal justices all recused themselves. And Kavanaugh wrote, well, you do have the Insurrection Act. That's how you deal with them. The Supreme Court greenlit the Insurrection Act. That's what they just did. Okay? So it's coming. It's coming. And if you don't believe it's coming, and if you want to just keep going out there and you want to keep freaking out and crying that Trump didn't move fast enough, you just look like a bunch of fucking babies to somebody like me. So you look like a bunch of fucking babies. Pull yourselves together. You are not smarter than this administration. In Trump's first term, it was Trump surrounded by enemies. You could say definitively, Trump's around a piece of shit here. He's around a piece of shit here. He's around a piece of shit here. And maybe he knew that he was trying to maneuver, but he was totally boxed in. He had so few allies. And you say, well, why did he do that? Maybe he had to do it. He had no political base. He came into a city. He was surrounded by people who gave him offers he couldn't refuse. He took them. He thought he could work with them. He couldn't work with them. Even ones we like Bannon, may not have been, I don't know. Bannon got removed from the White House for a reason in the first term. I'm not saying that maybe was a good decision. There's been bad decisions. Flynn was removed, right? Pence manufactured that. But the point I'm trying to make here is that if you're trying to make an analogous situation to Trump in his first term, when we knew he was surrounded by enemies and bad people, and Trump in his second term, when everybody is handpicked and they hate his entire cabinet, then you're fucking dumb. You're fucking dumb. You got your own head way too much up your own ass. It's not. Be a little bit more humble. This administration has a very, very serious plan to take back this country. They're doing it with minimal casualties, surgical strikes, surgical hits. Iran-Israel war, diffuse that entire conflict, bombs down a fucking bunker. Venezuela, 0 casualties, extracted the president. I will say this, and this is actually good. This is, I mean, it's not financial advice, but it's decent advice. I mean, if you've got cash coming in, I probably wouldn't personally sell. But I think it's definitely a time to buy. Let's put it that way. It's definitely a time to buy, or it's going to be a time to buy very soon. It's not a bad time to buy, but it's going to be better probably, because he's right. There's going to be a panic. The question is, how long is it going to last? I mean, in America, the money's flowing in. We talked about this on COVID Cabal for months. Money's flowing in. Let me look through some of these screenshots. Anything worth talking about here that I didn't mention? Nothing important with that one. We talked about that. I think I just showed it twice. I talked about this too, right? This is a Luongo tweet. This is before the stuff happened. This I want to mention here. I was the hunted, now I'm the hunter. Okay, this is another thing that this is something that Tom doesn't get. He doesn't want to get it. Maybe he's trying to be like above board. This is a Q quote. The fucking White House posted, I was the hunter, now I'm the hunted. The hunted become the hunt. Hunters, you know what I mean? The hunted become the hunters. Trust the plan, guys. Trust the plan. Hold the line. Stay with me, right? Man, this stuff is like, there's one thing I wanted to mention here. I'm glad I remembered it before we close out. This is just, by the way, this tweet here. This is talking about the moral cover to denaturalize and deport. Again, White House, Homeland Security accounts talking about removing 100 million immigrants from the country. That is 1 out of every 3.5 people in the United States. 2 out of every 7 people in the United States. Pretty incredible. It would be nicer, actually. I want to read this one, though. This is the machine. Smartmatic was federally indicted on October 16th, 2025. Dominion was sold in September under still secret terms. Their election systems currently in use here have reportedly been newly examined by federal authorities and are apparently full of illegal CCP source components. Gabbard is being prevented from publishing her completed official report on the matter. The former secret Dominion data center in Belgrade that officially and emphatically did exist and was disabled by U.S. government employees just prior to the 2024 election. It has now been dismantled. Key engineers who reportedly designed and executed multiple foreign-based election frauds in America using Dominion and Smartmatic systems are here now under U.S. government protection and recording first-person testimony. These engineers are joined by General Hugo Carval, former head of Venezuelan intelligence, now in jail in New York and cooperating with federal authorities. This is on the 20th, okay? This is before the interdiction of Maduro. Cooperating with federal authorities. After rejecting over 24 traders, our 3 letter agencies are now supposedly helping find bad election actors, but they remain unreliable because of their own direct criminal involvement in past election frauds. That checks out with January 6th in particular. A lot of difficulty getting to the truth, right? Official state and court-adduced evidence of election fraud has been compiled now for every one of the 2020 battleground states, but cowardice and corruption within the American judiciary has completely paralyzed justice. Yes, it will happen in the military through tribunals. That's what's going to happen. DOJ has been forced to sue multiple states to require their compliance with federal election laws like CABAL. Again, Insurrection Act. President Trump pardoned Tina Peters, but Colorado officials refused to release her from prison. Her role as a federal officer in their state elections is apparently something Colorado wants to litigate. There's more, but that's the big thing here. Okay. So this is the really big thing with it. And there's just a couple things I want to close out on, because I know that this stuff is coming. It's coming down the pipeline. You don't want to believe it. I don't care if you don't want to believe it. It's coming down the pipeline. I do want to mention one thing about Rob Reiner. Remember Rob Reiner died? Rob Reiner was killed by his son. Maybe he was killed by his son, who maybe he raped over and over again. Who knows? But I will tell you this. Rob Reiner dies. Trump immediately trashes him. Right? Trump immediately trashes them. And what happens next? What happens next? What happens is that everybody freaks out. Trump's a terrible person. And then you find out that Reiner was involved with Brennan and Comey in a documentary talking about how they were actually involved with fortifying the election. To bring this, be a little bit more precise with this, what am I trying to say here? What I'm trying to say is that Rob Reiner was an intelligence asset. And if you have to ask me, I think Trump killed him. I think we killed him. I really think we killed Rob Reiner. I think we killed him. It was a rest and piss statement. And that was a great way to signal to everybody else, you think we're fucking around? We're not fucking around. We're going to fuck you up big time. That's what's going to happen to a lot of these people. Trump is not playing around. Trump waits. Everyone wanted Charlie Kirk's, there to be a response immediately. What did Putin do after Prigozhin led that uprising, which was probably CIA backed, by the way? Hey, Prigozhin, no hard feelings. Go back to your home. Hey, Wagner, go to Belarus. Just chill. Everything's good. We appreciate you. Thank you for helping out Russia. 2 months later, oh, you're fucking dead. Yeah, that's how mafia plays. Trump's mafia. Okay? Buckle up. It's going to be a big year. But it's going to be, for us, it's going to be a good year. It's going to be a liberating year for us. Those of us who stood up for what was right all these years and fought for it and fought for the truth, there's going to be vindication. Absolutely, there's going to be a vindication. Okay? Things are going to get a lot better. They might get messy, but we got this under control, guys. We absolutely have it under control, and you should not be afraid, and you should not be worried about what this administration has up its sleeve, because we're going to start arresting people. And if Obama flees to Britain, good fucking luck, Britain. Good fucking luck, Keir Starmer. You don't think that we can body bag you too? You don't think we can do that? Guess we'll find out. I love you guys. Great show. Solid full hour right there. Wow. What an amazing thing. As I said, there's going to be in the description below here the new channel. If you watch on YouTube, you've got to make sure you get the new channel. I'm going to post it one more time here, okay? So you get it. subscribe to that channel right now if you watch me on YouTube. Very, very important, because I'm not going to be posting COVID Cabal in here. But guess what I'm going to do? I have all these old COVID Cabals. I'm going to upload all the old COVID Cabals I have. I think I have 99% of them. I'm going to upload all of them to the channel. So if you guys want to go back because I don't know, you got nothing else to do, whatever, you want to check out one that, posterity's sake, right? You miss me too much. We're going to have season 1 COVID Cabal on there too. That's my plan. I want to have every COVID Cabal on there now that YouTube's not going to start banning people. So, I love you all. This is of course, this is the link right here. Subscribe to this channel. Pat Stedman Coaching is going to be pure coaching, dating, relationship stuff going forward. And yeah, you should watch the masterclass instead of COVID Cabal. That's better. But I love COVID Cabal. You love COVID Cabal. I love COVID Cabal. So I love you guys. I will see you probably next week. We'll see what happens in the meantime. God bless. Stay safe. And yeah, much love.